Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Obviously, one of the biggest parts of the Season 3 update here in Warzone 2 is the fact that snipers are now actually somewhat in the meta conversation. Before the Season 3 update, they were completely obsolete because every single sniper took at least 2 shots to kill. They just weren't really all that competitive. Now, though, the bolt action snipers can obviously one-shot knock if they have the explosive ammo on them. And I wanted to break down the full stats of all the potential one-shot snipers in Warzone to compare them against one another to really see which one is the true best for your kind of playstyle, but then also see if it's going to be anything similar to what the one-shot snipers were back in Warzone 1, where things were a little bit more diverse and versatile over the course of the entire game. So we are starting here on sim.gg, and we've got our 3 one-shot snipers: the Imperium, the MCPR 300, and the Victus XMR. So real quick, let's just go through and build these setups for these on the sim site itself, and we can look at all the stats. So we can see the base muzzle velocity on all of these is 780. So that's the same for the Imperium. On the MCPR, it's 780, and on the Victus, it is 780. That's the stock muzzle velocity as is, which, quite frankly, for long range fights, 780 is mediocre. Or like, it really, we can have rifles that have close to 800, 900, 1000 even with certain setups. That's not really all that great. So we definitely want to focus on the velocity as much as we can. Now, first and foremost, right away, we have to be using the explosive ammo. And as you can see, this absolutely destroys your muzzle velocity. So we are working backwards from the get-go. Right away, a 468 velocity. That's just so bad. MCPR, we go ahead, we throw on the explosive ammo as well. We're down to a 468. Victus, we do the same thing with the explosive. We're down to a 468 there too. So, I mean, explosive ammo, the #1 criteria for one shots, not making things easy off the rip. So obviously we're going to add on a muzzle, and a suppressor here is going to be fantastic for adding in some velocity. Some, though, don't add the most for the actual pros here. You know, you can see Talon 16, 93, but then behind the face cam there, it's also helping with recoil. That doesn't really matter too much on a sniper, and it's hurting your ADS time. Bruin Agent, 140, but a pretty slow ADS time. Reaper, 140, and even slower ADS time. Nil Sound, 140, but a decently fast ADS time in comparison, at least, meaning nil sound is absolutely the go-to on the Imperium. We go to the MCPR here, and it's going to be kind of the same deal. Talon, slow ADS, not a ton of velocity. Bruin, slow ADS, decent velocity, same with Reaper. Nil Sound, 140, decent ADS too, much faster than the other options, so nil sound there. And on the Victus XMR, there's actually a handful of different options here. The velocity on Cobra is 93 for a 98 millisecond ADS. Talon 16, no velocity, so that's not going to be an option. Bruin, no velocity, which is really weird as well. Nil Sound is 70, and then Bruin Counterops is 140 for a really slow ADS. So Bruin would give you the best velocity here, but the ADS time is going to be so slow. So if you're okay with that super slow ADS, you could run Bruin Counterops. If you just want the decent ADS, you're going to want to go for nil sound. But it's weird that the muzzles on the Victus really are not all that great, right? But we got to go with that. That's kind of the lesser of all evils, if you will. Back to the Imperium. Next up, to help with the velocity here, you can see we're still only at 608, 608, and 538, which is not good. We got to focus on a barrel here, and we got options here. Retort is going to do 82 for velocity. Fahrenheit's doing 102 with only an 88 millisecond ADS time. TAC Command is doing 3, so obviously that's out of the question. The Ceros 22 is not doing anything. Ceros 29 is also doing 102, but you can see the difference between Ceros and Fahrenheit. 103 millisecond ADS time versus 88. So Fahrenheit's going to be slightly faster, which is going to be pretty clutch. It's kind of the same barrel. Fahrenheit's just better in all ways. So we obviously want to go ahead and throw that one on. And you can see we get up to a 711. Our velocity is still worse than when we started, which is crazy. And keep in mind, those are all the attachments you can use to help with velocity. If we go to the MCPR, velocity-based barrel, we've got the OMX, which is 79. The Orca doesn't do it, and this one only does 49. So you want to go for OMX. You're only getting up to a 687. And for the Victus, you got a couple of options here. Super is going to do 68. Mammoth is going to do 102. But as you guys can see, if I go ahead and hide the face cam here, Mammoth destroys your movement speed as well. So I don't personally think that's all that worth it. You got to go for super, and you're only getting a 606. So with these 3 attachments on our 3 snipers here, those are the best velocities we can get, which is kind of absurd. That's a terrible velocity for long range, but it's what you have to make do with. Now, outside of that, the remainder of the setup, I'm running the 7 milliwatt laser on the Imperium, and I'm also going to go for the 6.6 times optic as well. This would be the full-on setup there, and I'll be sure to throw the tuning for this on the screen as well with these specific attachments. We just obviously don't have to jump into the actual game screen for that, but this would be the full-on setup for the FJX Imperium. On the MCPR, we're kind of going to do the same thing, Olay laser, and we're gonna go ahead and throw on the 6.6 times optic here too, and that'd be the best mid to long range sniping setup for this. Keep in mind, this is all based on range. You could quick scope with some of these setups, but if you want good velocity, you have to go for what we have here, which is not aggressive and not fast either. Then also on the Victus 7 milliwatt laser, we're gonna go ahead and throw on the 6.6 times optic all the way at the bottom as well here as soon as I find it, and then we've got this setup as well. Now, what we can do here real quick before we go ahead and compare this to some of the old MW 2019 and Warzone 1 stats is just simply look at the overall score here with these, if you will. So if we go ahead and zoom in a little bit, we can see muzzle velocity goes to the FJX Imperium, second best MCPR 300. The ammo count, the MCPR does have that going for it, which is nice. Reload time, all are kind of slow except for the Victus. What's really important here is ADS time as well. They're going to be super similar. Victus does technically have the fastest, but it also has the worst velocity. So for close range and like mid-range sniping, if you wanted a quick scope, the Victus might be the best option there, just given its stats here. Then also the time to exit is really slow, especially on the Imperium, unfortunately. Then we also have the zoom with the view kick and whatnot. That doesn't really matter too much on a sniper, but really what we're focused on here is that velocity and is that ADS time. In my opinion, despite the Imperium having the slowest ADS time, I think it is clearly the best for medium to long range sniping in that one shot down. MCPR is kind of the mid tier, and then Victus would be the low tier for long range, and then it's kind of the inverse for quick scoping if you're interested in that. But now with these stats in mind, 711, 687, and 606, let's talk a bit about what it was like back in Warzone 1. We are back on sim here, and I've got one sniper from every iteration and every integration, I should say, of Warzone 1's metas, if you will. So we got the HDR from Modern Warfare, the ZRG from Cold War, and the 3-line from Vanguard. And we don't have to spend too much time here, but you'll notice the base velocity on the HDR, 720. On the ZRG, 770, and on the 3-line, 770 as well. So initially right away, the stock snipers from Warzone 1 are way better in terms of velocity over range than anything we can build here in Warzone 2. And then obviously the attachments here are way more forgiving. Everyone's running the monolithic suppressor, which gives you 144 extra velocity, and most people will go for a longer barrel. The pro barrel, 432 velocity out of one attachment. We're all the way up to almost 1300 on the HDR alone, about double, almost double what some of the options are here in Warzone 2, which is absolutely insane when you compare the two. The ZRG here as well, if we go ahead and throw on, I know a lot of people are doing Task Force Shroud and Wrap Suppressor. You could kind of go back and forth with those. Wrapped though for max velocity, 154. Then we go through with the Barrel Combat Recon, 351. We're up to, again, almost 1300. And then on the 3-line, kind of the same deal here. We obviously want the MX Silencer, 77 velocity. And then for the barrels, like all of these are going to be hugely beneficial. Every single one, but the Carbine here offers more velocity than we can even gain on anything in Warzone 2, which is kind of crazy. We'll go for the longest one in this case, and we'd be at 1200, just over that. So if you want sniping to feel like it did back in Warzone 1, you just can't. You have to go play Warzone 1. While we can one-shot here in Season 3 now, finally, with some of those snipers, they are going to be so different and so much worse than the sniping in Warzone 1. So if they truly want a sniping meta here in Warzone 2, we got to have some serious upgrades on these attachments. They either have to give a lot more velocity or those cons have to be a lot less harsh, right? That being said, that is the sniping meta. Don't make the mistakes of running the wrong attachments on those initial 3 snipers, and also don't make the mistake of thinking sniping in this game is going to be the equivalent to what it was before. But that is going to wrap things up. If you guys enjoyed the video, let me know by dropping a like on it. And if you're new here, feel free to hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications so you can always guarantee you're up to date with everything going on in COD. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy. Have an awesome rest of your day. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.